following up on our leading story, ENC's Mawande Keso is following our top story this hour in Durban, where the Mobeni reservoir has collapsed, leaving many areas without water. Mawande, I believe that you're actually at the reservoir, and you're not alone. You're with the DA councillor, Gavin Hector. Tell us what's going on at the moment.
Good day, Faith. Well, indeed, we are at the scene, and what we arrived to here at the reservoir is quite baffling. There's a great big hole where the reservoir was, I can say. Unfortunately, it's too dark for you to see, but some of the visuals that you have do show a picture of what has transpired here. It is alleged that it was a bombing. However, there's no real confirmation as to whether or not it was. But to just get further clarity and understand what really transpired here, who is it affecting, how is it affecting, and how do we move on from this situation? I'm joined by the DA Ward Councillor, Mr. Gavin Hector, who will just brief us more. Thank you for joining us. Could we firstly start off by describing exactly what happened and when?
Evening. Yes, I got the report early this morning that the reservoir had collapsed. I came down here, the company below the reservoir, as you saw earlier, they've had suffered millions of rands of damage to their plant and equipment. I had a look at the reservoir. It's obviously, with the water flowing, there's still water running out of the reservoir, which has caused further collapsing. So what we see now is just further damage. But it was quite evident at the time. The city released the statement that, the city manager released a statement that it was a bombing and they're investigating. They quickly retracted that statement, but I don't believe they would release a statement like that if there was not some factual evidence. The thing is, there was no damage prior to this. Although we had the heavy storms last week, and which caused extensive damage throughout the city, there was no damage reported to this reservoir. The company below would have experienced the results of any damage on the reservoir, and it would have been reported. They didn't have that. So it's quite clear that what happened was not just a simple failure of this reservoir. I honestly do believe that there was sabotage involved.
Now, how many liters of water were at this reservoir, and how many homes, if you can give an estimate, you say, have been affected by this?
Well, according to a statement by the fire chief earlier today, he said it's between 40 and 60 million liters of water. It covers a vast area, which includes Merebank, Mobeni. I don't have the number of homes, but it is a vast area, and it also a lot of industry in the South Durban Basin area that is affected, and they supplied by this water.
Now, has the city communicated as to how it will be assisting the homes that have been affected? As you say, that the reservoir covered quite a vast area, so surely those people do need a basic service of clean, drinkable water.
Well, we've been experiencing this for the last few days with the strike by the municipal workers, and where they have been going around and sabotaging, turning off valves on various roads and at various reservoirs, severely affecting residents throughout the city. And the city management has no answer because the staff are on strike, so they cannot send out the water tankers, and they basically have gone into hiding. We cannot get answers from anybody. The head of water, I tried to get hold of him today. I've sent him messages, I've tried phoning, there's just no response. As we saw with all these strike action that has been taking place, the mayor went to open a bakery in KwaMashu and has been at the tourism in Durban. Instead of dealing with this that is affecting the residents of the city's day-to-day life and severely affecting people with the basic needs of water. But the city management just seems to go into hiding every time the city is in a state of what we're experiencing now, which is total chaos.
Now, as the water gushed out and moved downstream, have we had any reports of any people missing or injuries or animals thereof?
Fortunately, it happened early hours this morning. The company that was affected, there was nobody on site. They did have their guard dog on the premises, which is missing, sadly. But from there it went on to Higginson Highway and the N2 freeway. but there was no reports of any injuries or loss of life, thankfully.
From your observation and assessment of the area, did you find any signs of sabotage, or do you believe that this could have just been a collapse that happened due to other reasons which are yet to be known?
Look, as I've said on numerous occasions, I'm not an engineer and I don't profess to be an expert, but looking at the situation, with there been no prior damage caused by the floods or the storms, so I do believe that, I don't believe that a reservoir like this that has stood for so many years could just all of a sudden decide to fall down.
Thank you for your time. Well, there you have it, Faith. It's still not yet clear exactly what caused the collapse. However, there are those reports of alleged sabotage by some of the municipal workers that have been on strike and crippling the city and making sure that there's no water services that are being provided to people, which has caused quite an issue for the city and the residents here. So, but moving forward, we do hope to actually establish what the issue is. Like Mr. Gavin indicated, that the city did release a statement where they cited sabotage. However, they retracted it, and we will await for the city to give comment as to what their stance is on what has occurred and what is the way moving forward.
Well, Mawande, it's certainly a story that we'll be tracking and following up on as the evening progresses. The Mawande Keswa out in Durban following that eruption of the reservoir as well, speaking to DA Councillor Gavin Richter.